task for thought. At the end of the day, what's hasad? What's envy? Now you go into diseases of the heart. What is it? You know, what is it? It's your thought towards someone else. True or not? Mina kabira. It's from the major sins, right? What's malice towards someone? Another Muslim. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, Ashra Mubashirin, one of the 10 promised paradise. What was his thing? What distinguished him in such a way? The hadith about him, the Prophet ﷺ said, 2 days consecutively, right? 3 days, if I'm right, actually. Every day, he said, Al-an yadkhulu min hadha al-bab, rajulun min ahli al-jannah. Al-an yattali'u alaykum. Now a man is going to appear, and he's a man from a man of Jannah. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he walks in, he's carrying his na'al, his sandals, and his hair is dripping from wudu. Right? And Sahaba look at him like, oh man, okay. Next day, same time, same thing, he walks in. And then the third day, same thing, and he walks in. Anas ibn Malik's there, and he's related to Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and he's like, what is this? So because he's like his uncle, he figures out a way. He comes to him saying, look, I've had a bit of a disagreement with my dad. Is it all right if I stay with you? Why? Because he wants to observe him. He's like, I need to see what you're doing, because he doesn't know. Sa'd doesn't know the Prophet said that about him, right? All the Sahaba sitting there knew. So they're like, So what does he do? He says, I've had a bit of a disagreement with my father. It's all right if I just, till things calm down, I'll stay with you here. He goes, yeah, fine. So he's staying with him. Now remember, this is about Sahaba. Sahaba, you see their homes, one room. It's amazing. He's with him, they're in one room, right? Because why? He's observing him at night time, sleeping. And he goes, he's sleeping. While he's sleeping, he's turning in his sleep, and he's saying, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. He's in his sleep. And then Anas ibn Malik goes, we all do that. So that was nothing special. That's his, he just said, yeah, we all do that. What's that? We all do that. He goes, so he couldn't understand that being the reason for him being spoken of in a way of one of Jannah. He goes, that's adi, yani. And in the end, he comes clean and he tells Sa'd, he said, look, this is what happened. This is what the Prophet said about you. And I just kind of made up a little fib so that I could observe you and get an insight into what are you doing. And he goes, you're doing something that we clearly aren't doing. Yes? And he was like, I don't know. He goes, no, there has to be. And then he said, well, there is something I am very conscious of. He goes, I don't retire except I make it a point that I harbor nothing for my fellow Muslims, against my fellow Muslim. Nothing in my heart towards anyone except goodness. And you know what Anas said, I must say? He said, he goes, that's what we struggle with. And when it means like that's right? I don't feel any grievance towards another Muslim. I don't feel any type of bad thing towards another Muslim. We're not talking, forget hate. Hate's not even on the table here. We're not talking about just, you feel like, you feel pinched by someone. Do you understand? You feel pinched by someone. You understand what I mean by that? When you think of them, it kind of like makes you a bit like, Not to have a heart that is not towards any Muslim in that way whatsoever, to anyone. Allahu Akbar, what heart is that? And to make it conscientiously like that, how can you do that? Because let's be real, he lives a life, of course he's got issues going on, of course he has, he's got a family, let's be clear. There's ups and downs, there's arguments, there's disputes, people, they are real people, Sahaba. This is why, like sometimes people want to present Sahaba in these ways that remove them from the reality of human relations and things. This is mistaken, it's very poor when you do that. Because what you're missing is the real reason why they were so amazing. And that's what makes Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas so amazing, because amongst all of that as well, he was able to what? He was able to understand how to maintain his heart only for Allah. And that was to not have this sentiment towards others. Despite there being many things that would be justifiably to feel, you know? Having such a control and having such a direction with one's feelings and emotions. Wow, that is, you know, when you talk about believers being, that is the example of a mu'min at the highest level. And that's why the Prophet said, what did he say about Sa'd? He said, da'watun mustajab. The Prophet made specific thing about Sa'd ibn Waqqas. Any dua he'd make, it would be answered. The Prophet ﷺ confirmed Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas for this aspect of him. Any dua he'll make, it will be answered. Why is that? Look at what he's been. Why was he promised Jannah? Because he won't make dua against anybody. You understand? Having said this, now you got me talking about Sa'd. Having said this, he was made governor of Iraq by Sayyidina Umar. And the people of Iraq, some of them, a few of them, accused him of being unjust and of being, an unworthy governor. And yes, you imagine this. And this hurt him. And there was one man in particular that was the stirring voice of it all. Yeah? Right? You know, the fitna man. You always got one person, the king fitna person. Huh? There's always one. That's the king fitna. Right? The head of the snake. Huh? That was one time he made dua against him. And his dua was like, and you look at what dua he made. He said, and if I'm a liar, the dua he made against him was, if I'm a liar, may I reach an age I am decrepit, abandoned, blinded. This is what he made, right? And no one would give me any concern. Like, I'm discarded amongst people. That's the dua. He said, if I'm the liar. And if you, right, if I'm a liar, and if you're the one, right, that is lying, then may this be the affliction you meet. And lo and behold, that man is described. He lived, it was like he was almost, you'd say, immortal. He wouldn't die. But what a discarded life he went on to. People used to see him in the streets and say, that's the one. He's the one that Sa'd made dua on. He'd be pointed out for that. And, that's why Sayyidina Umar would not want to ever upset Sa'd. He'd get into things, and it's known that sometimes they'd have a disagreement and this, and Umar would look at him and say, hey, look, it's all right, it's all right. I don't do dua, because I know it's okay. You know, Sayyidina Umar would be like, it's all right, it's all right. Don't worry, like, we're good, yeah? We're good.